Lewis Hamilton, once unbeatable, just suffered the most humiliating season of his career, and now, Italian media are tearing him apart. Newspapers are calling him a failure, fans are demanding change, and insiders at Ferrari are asking, did we bet on the wrong legend? One headline called him a shadow of greatness. Another, the beginning of the Ferrari curse. And what Hamilton said in response shocked everyone. If you want the raw, unfiltered truth behind the headlines and Ferrari's next big decision, hit subscribe now. You won't believe what's coming next. When Lewis Hamilton signed with Ferrari, Italian newspapers ran full-page spreads celebrating the dawn of a new golden era. Il Re Rosso, the Red King, was coming to Maranello. But just 12 months later, those same headlines have turned venomous. After the worst season of his career, Hamilton has become a punching bag for the Italian press. And they're not holding back. He's being called slow, distracted, and worse, irrelevant. The shift in tone has been brutal. Gazzetta dello Sport described his 2025 campaign as a painful mirage, suggesting Hamilton's legacy may have collapsed the moment he put on the red suit. Corriere della Sera went further, labeling his year a warning to champions. Greatness has an expiration date. These aren't just harsh takes, they're public lashings in a country where Ferrari isn't just a team. It's a religion. And when the high priest fails, the congregation turns fast. The media isn't just criticizing Hamilton's results, they're attacking his very presence in the team. Columnists have called him too Hollywood, not enough Monza. His lifestyle, fashion appearances, and off-track ventures are now being weaponized as evidence that he's lost the fire. And in the ruthless ecosystem of Italian motorsport journalism, perception is everything. When you drive for Ferrari, it's not enough to be fast, you must live and breathe red. And right now, the Italian press doesn't think he does. His stats haven't helped his case. No wins, no poles, no podiums, crushed in qualifying by Charles Leclerc. In Italy, those numbers aren't just disappointing, they're seen as betrayal. Ferrari gave him the keys to their empire, and he brought it back dented and empty. The media expected Hamilton to elevate the team. Instead, they argue he's brought confusion, division, and distraction. Headlines have even begun floating the term, Il Fallimento, the failure. Even former Ferrari insiders have weighed in. Ex-engineers and strategists, now turned pundits, are questioning if Hamilton ever truly integrated into the team's DNA. They cite his unfamiliarity with the Maranello structure, his preference for the Mercedes-style engineering model, and his inability to adapt to Ferrari's emotional, often chaotic, internal culture. To them, this isn't just a slump. It's confirmation that Ferrari and Hamilton were never a match to begin with. Fans in Italy are echoing the media's anger. Social media is flooded with frustration. Ferrari tifosi, once excited to welcome a global superstar, now want their homegrown talent to take control. Leclerc is winning not just on track, but in public opinion. For every bad race Hamilton has, Leclerc's image sharpens. And in a country that values loyalty and passion over legacy and fame, Hamilton is losing the crowd fast. This mounting pressure is pushing Ferrari's leadership to reconsider the narrative. They sold Hamilton as the missing piece, the man who could take them back to glory. But the media firestorm is making that vision harder to defend. If 2026 starts anything like 2025 ended, expect the headlines to get even uglier and the boardroom conversations even more serious. Inside Ferrari's Maranello headquarters, the mood has shifted dramatically. What began as a historic collaboration between the most successful team and the most decorated driver in Formula One history is now being viewed through a very different lens. After months of media attacks and disappointing results, the executive board isn't asking how to help Lewis Hamilton. They're asking whether keeping him for 2026 makes any strategic sense at all. John Elkann, Ferrari's chairman, is known for his patience, but even that has limits. Sources close to the team suggest that internal reviews of the 2025 season placed a disproportionate amount of underperformance on Hamilton's inability to adapt. Ferrari executives didn't expect instant wins, but they expected influence, leadership, set-up direction, energy. Instead, they got tension in engineering meetings, misaligned feedback, and a driver who seemed emotionally disconnected from a Ferrari way of racing. Team principal Frederic Vasseur, who once stood firmly behind the decision to bring Hamilton in, is now said to be in a delicate position. Balancing Leclerc's rising dominance with Hamilton's fading results has created an internal power imbalance. Technically, Ferrari is still backing both drivers, but structurally, everything is leaning toward Leclerc. From setup choices to simulator time to future aero concepts, the resources are clearly pivoting toward their Monegasque star. Behind the scenes, Ferrari's analytics department has produced internal reports comparing Hamilton's inputs to Leclerc's. The data points to a stark difference. Leclerc's feedback is consistent, actionable, and directly linked to lap time gains. Hamilton's feedback, while technically deep, often leads the team down development paths that have proven ineffective under race pressure. In a season defined by narrow margins, that distinction is critical. And it's feeding the argument that Ferrari may not need Hamilton to move forward. There's also the financial conversation. Hamilton's contract is among the most expensive in the sport, even by Ferrari standards. With 0 wins and dwindling media return in key markets, the investment is under review. Sponsors are reportedly divided. Some still see Hamilton as a global asset. Others feel the value has dropped sharply. Ferrari must now weigh the cost of continuing the relationship against the potential of elevating a cheaper, younger, and more integrated talent, possibly from their own academy. The engineering division has also grown increasingly split. Some of the senior engineers recruited to support Hamilton, especially those brought in with Mercedes-style development philosophies, are now isolated within the structure. Internal politics are real, and in Ferrari's high-pressure environment, loyalty shifts quickly. Most now rally around Leclerc, who speaks the team's language literally and figuratively, and has emerged as the de facto leader of Ferrari's next-gen car direction for 2026. The pressure from Italian media, combined with the lack of results, has transformed what was once a bold partnership into a reputational liability. Ferrari is not a team that tolerates extended failure, not from its cars, and certainly not from its drivers. The writing may not be fully on the wall yet, but if Hamilton doesn't deliver early in 2026, Ferrari's leadership may act swiftly, decisively, and without sentiment. At Maranello, the next chapter is always more important than the last. For Lewis Hamilton, the end of 2025 feels like standing on the edge of a legacy-defining cliff. After a season where everything he touched seemed to turn cold, from setups to strategies to team relationships, the bigger question is no longer about Ferrari's future. It's about his own. The pressure is now existential. After 2 decades at the top, Hamilton is staring down the hardest question any elite athlete ever faces. When is it time to stop? What makes this moment so difficult is how quickly everything changed. Hamilton entered Ferrari as a 7-time world champion, a global icon, and a driver who had fought for titles just years prior. But in a single season, the narrative has flipped. He's no longer the hero arriving to rescue Ferrari. Now he's being painted as the legend who may have stayed 1 season too long. That kind of shift is brutal, not just for fans, but for a competitor who has built his identity around defying limits. Internally, Hamilton still believes he has more to give. Those close to him say he's not ready to walk away, and that he's determined to prove he can make the Ferrari project work. But belief alone isn't enough in Formula One. The grid is younger, more aggressive, and more technically demanding than ever before. And with Ferrari clearly building around Charles Leclerc, the window for Hamilton to take back control is shrinking with every lap, every test, and every headline. The 2026 regulations could provide a lifeline or a trap. On paper, a reset in the car design philosophy could level the playing field. New aero, new power units, new strategies. It's a chance for Hamilton to reinvent himself one final time. But it's also a massive risk. If he still struggles while younger drivers adapt faster, the optics will be devastating. And Ferrari, already under pressure from shareholders and fans, will not hesitate to cut ties if the results do not come fast. There's also the option of retirement. Quietly, it's being discussed in the paddock. Not officially, not publicly, but in conversations between team principals, engineers, and those who know the true costs of staying too long. Hamilton's brand is vast. He has businesses, foundations, entertainment ventures. He doesn't need Formula One to be relevant anymore. But legacy matters. Ending on his own terms matters. And 2026 might be the final opportunity to write that ending on his own terms. Some insiders believe Hamilton may look to pivot his role in the sport, perhaps into team ownership, mentorship, or high-level ambassador work. If not Ferrari, maybe a move to Andretti if they enter. Maybe a partnership with Mercedes down the line. The sport is evolving, and Hamilton is savvy enough to remain part of its future even without racing. But whether he exits with grace or gets pushed out after another disappointing year, that's the drama only the next season will resolve. So here we are. The Italian press has spoken. Ferrari's leadership is recalibrating. The fans are restless. And Hamilton? He's staring into the final corner of his career, with the throttle still down, but the tires wearing thin. What comes next could either restore his legacy or define the way it ends.